Hello and welcome back to Autofunk. I'm Llewellyn.
And I'm Chris.
And this is our 1991 Corvette ZR-1 project, live from a British driveway with a lovely gravel surface to kneel on and hurt your knees. In the last episode we fitted new injectors. Underneath here are the injector rails, and we fitted 16 new injectors. The reason there's 16 is this car has a power key. It normally runs on 8 injectors, but when you turn the power key it energises all 16. It also turns a second fuel pump on and opens a second set of intake butterfly valves and unleashes all of the 385 horsepower, which we're currently trying to get back. We fitted the injectors. If you've seen the previous episodes you'll already know, and we've still had a running fault, and we found out that the alternator, which normally lives here, wasn't providing any kind of charge. It might be charging, it's hard to say. So we're of the mind that because it was running on low voltage, about 11 to 11.5 volts, the injection system and the coils weren't getting enough power. So, move you over to my little temporary bench. We have one new alternator. Tensioner, this is the pulley from the old tensioner, which had a lot of play in it. I investigated whether or not I could change the bearing, but it was easier to just buy a new one. We have got a brand new Dayco pulley from America, which has a lovely smooth bearing in it. But what it doesn't have is a lovely smooth plastic moulding. So you can see here, that's not particularly great. So before we fit it, I am going to just use a razor blade to clean that up, and then I'll put some wet and dry on there to give us a nice clean surface for the belt to rub on. So that was a bit disappointing, because I would have thought that being a genuine Dayco pulley it would have been nice quality, but never mind. This is the tensioner, so we need to fit the pulley on there.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, that's tight and tense.
So I will tighten that up, but that's looking a lot better. Old alternator and the new alternator. We went for a Y branded high output alternator, which I've noticed has got a slightly smaller pulley than the old one.
Should provide a bit more spinach.
So I'm hoping that there's enough movement in the tensioner to allow for the different pulley size. But yeah, because it's basically a smaller circumference, it should spin faster and give us a bit more juice. What I've also done is I've cleaned this. I'll cut to what it used to look like. But this is the horn extension, I think it's called, that goes on the front of the plenum, which had to come off to access the alternator. But I've just given this a clean, and what I've also done is I've tested the air intake temp sensor, and this seems to work okay. So that's one less sensor to worry about. So, Chris, and I know that you guys think that we do things arse about face, and that's fine. We're under pressure because we both work, so we work all day, and then we have like 1 day per week to do as much as we can on the car. So sometimes if the work does seem a little bit fragmented or the order of it doesn't make sense, that's because we're not full time and we're just doing what we can with the parts that we have and everything else. So yeah, while I'd like to do a full restoration on this car, it's just not practical to do so at the moment. Anyway, so we've got some new full fuel socks for the fuel pumps. If you go back to episode 4, you'll notice that we changed the pumps, but we didn't have the socks. So they're here now, so we're going to fit those. And we're also going to fit the gasket. So to make best use of the time, Chris is going to fit these to the fuel pumps and put the new gasket on. I'm going to hit the front of the car and get the alternator on. And hopefully, once the alternator's on, we'll be able to do a trial start again and see if it improves the driving. What we're also going to do today is we're going to start on the brakes. So I don't know how far we'll get, but we're definitely going to take the front wheels off and try and do the flexies and strip off the calipers and take the discs off the front. The calipers will no doubt need a rebuild, so we're just going to do that as a matter of course. Yeah, hopefully we'll have some stopping power the first time that we try and run it. So on with fitting the alternator. And also, let's see how long my gloves last this time, because you guys found it hilarious, didn't you, when these kept on breaking in the last video. I do need to get some better quality ones.
How neat it is in the boot.
Just giving that a quick wipe down, just to improve it slightly. Further cleaning probably required at a later date. Alternator bracket, little triangular plate.
It's like a Jenga puzzle game getting this thing in and out of here.
Oh. Gloves are still intact so far. Let's get the alternator in then.
I suspect this thing might look a little bit out of place.
That, I think it might look slightly out of place for sure.
But it might brighten things up just a little bit.
It's going to go in now, so you'll get to find out in a minute, Chris. The plug design's slightly different.
Is it? Does it not plug in?
Well.
Is it a square peg, round hole, or the other way around?
No, it's me being a total wrong plug.
You being a bit silly, is it?
Yeah.
Have you got glove failure already?
Yes. It's going in. It's a little bit on the tight side. Connect the back of the alternator up. Connect it to the main battery strap. Is the battery undone, yeah?
Yes. Get a shock if it wasn't.
What are you laughing at?
You can't get out.
No, because how long ago did you say bollocks?
Bollocks?
Yeah.
Why did it make you laugh? I always say bollocks, that's my downfall.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of fuel in there actually. That might be part of our running issue.
Really?
There is a little bit. I think it's okay.
Oh God, I'm getting cramp. Oh. That's definitely cleaner than it was.
I think Michael McDonald's just walked by.
Michael McDonald? I like Michael McDonald.
I do like Michael McDonald.
We're not far off buttoning up time actually, which is quite exciting. Just got to be methodical and make sure that I don't lose anything, which I'm very prone to doing. What I don't want to do is cross-thread anything, because that would be bad.
Just got to remember that cross-threaded is still threaded.
It's glove change time. Look at it.
You need to change your gloves more
Do
frequently.
you know what? I got these gloves from...
cheapestglovestore.com.
they were cheap. They were like £3 for 160 gloves. I got them from an auto jumble.
That's quite cheap.
And I wouldn't buy them again, I'll be honest. Even at £3. Perfect tool for tensioning your tensioner. Tell me I'm wrong. It's belt time. I'm going to consult the diagram that I've got here. That looks a bit long to me, but I'm hoping that it'll be alright.
The other one was too short though, wasn't it?
The other one was a bit too short, but then the alternator pulley
is now smaller. What you need is a child's hand shoving all this sharp area.
That was really easy. No, it wasn't really easy. It was a bit of a pain to be honest, but we did it. So we've got the belt on, alternator's all tight. Just got to finish putting these bits together, and then we can run it and see what happens.
Yeah, just need this on, don't we?
Yep.
And that's actually okay.
That's it.
Ready for some new gloves.
People will be commenting on my gloves again, but they're perfectly serviceable. Quick tip on Torx wrenches: always make sure that it seats really nicely, because it's easy to use the wrong size and then you'll end up rounding it. So yeah, it's always good to be extra vigilant.
Diligent.
Vigilant.
Diligent.
Belligerent.
Diligent.
Diligent.
Vigilant.
Vigilant or diligent.
Yeah.
Take your pick. I think we're ready for a start. Everything's back on.
Okay.
So this is all looking nice and shiny there with the new alternator, new belt. Quick view into the intake. Now it's nice and clean.
Nice.
Exciting times. Are you nervous?
No, I think it'll just be the same.
You reckon?
But no, I'm hopeful.
I'm a little bit nervous, and
Because if this doesn't work, then what are we into?
yeah, I actually do. I don't think it's going to make a difference, but we'll see.
I need my Imperial
Chris needs his Imperial.
spanner.
Is an Imperial a cigar, Chris? It sounds like a cigar.
Imperial spanner.
Oh, okay. We are going for another start now that the alternator's fitted. I'll tell you what we do need, Chris.
What's that?
This.
We
Because
want to check the voltages.
we need to check that it's charging. So we've got an indicated 12 volts at the minute. Give it a start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice crank. Might take a while for the fuel to get through. That's way smoother. That is way smoother.
14.5 volts on there.
And it's actually firing on all cylinders. You can tell. 100%. That's 100% smoother. We might let that just warm up until it starts smoking.
That sounds good.
Oh, maybe not that good.
Well, it's bound to backfire because there's probably a lot of fuel in it
Yeah.
where it's not been running properly.
Anyone asking, that was about 1500 RPM.
That sounds absolutely awesome. So the battery's charging, so that's a good sign. So the alternator and the charging circuit is now working. It started to run okay, didn't it?
It was running on all 8, 100%.
Okay, so if you run it again and just leave it to idle, what happens?
It hunts up and down, and then it just cut out.
We'll just put the air. Is it still recording?
Yeah, just in case it's pulling way too much air through or something.
We'll just put the airbox on it.
And maybe that could be part of the suctiony noise.
Right, try that again.
That does sound better with the airbox on. Sounds good.
So with the airbox on, that's running better, isn't it?
It does run better with the airbox on, 100%. It's still not revving well though. I mean, it could actually be a bit low on fuel.
Is it full?
Not quite. It's still got a little bit coming out of it. It seems like I've been stood here for quite a while. 2 British gallons, which is pretty much 5 litres, aren't they? 4.5 something?
5. I think I got about. It was 19 quid for those 2.
Is it Shell?
Yeah.
Extra premium. It's going to need it.
Maybe.
If this doesn't do it, nothing will. Because it ran lovely, and then it didn't. Yeah, for 10 seconds, and it didn't. So maybe it just was starting to just get slightly fuel starved.
What does it say on the fuel gauge?
We have now got about a quarter.
But we've got voltage now, so that's something new.
Got good voltage, good oil pressure. Everything else is reading sensible stuff. The LCD is
oh yeah,
still
we've
not
got about
brilliant.
a quarter of a gauge apparently.
Yeah.
A quarter of the way up the gauge. So how does that feel now at the moment with no throttle?
No throttle, it's idling beautifully. I'm not putting any throttle on.
But that's sounding better, isn't it?
Yeah, it might have been out of fuel.
Could have been out of fuel.
It was out of fuel.
You reckon it was out?
Yeah, it was out of bloody fuel.
It's now a couple of days later. We spent too long doing that alternator and messing around trying to get it to run last time. So we are now concentrating on the brakes.
These might be tight actually.
So the plan is we're going to lift this side of the car up. Chris will do probably the front and I'll do the back, one way round or the other, and we'll get the brakes stripped off. What we're also going to do is clean all in here, give this a nice little wire brush down and clean it up with some soapy water so it's a bit more pleasant to look at. And we'll do the same in the rear wheel arch. I have already had a look at the brake lines and to be honest they're not brilliant. Unfortunately I can't film that because it's too dark under the car, but when we've got the wheels off we'll have a look. So the brake lines will need changing. We've got some cunifer on order and a brake flaring kit. I've never done that before, so that'll be a learning curve, but I'm sure it'll be doable. Yeah, so for now it's a case of getting the discs off and having a look at the calipers and changing the flexies. Brews on the go to keep us fueled. It's not a very nice evening tonight. That's off. Going for a closer look.
Oh, I reckon some of this might clean up quite nicely actually. You can see the nice metal underneath, can't you?
Yeah.
I think it might be the hard lines that are the problem, but obviously we'll have to do the soft lines.
Yeah.
This is all going to clean up really nice.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'll do is I will take the caliper off, try and get the soft line off without cutting it, if I can. I'm going to clean this with a wire brush, get the disc off, and start to clean it up. And the discs, they're slightly lipped, but they're actually okay. So I think I can get them maybe turned down a tiny bit. We shall see. There's a lovely view of all the debris. 20 years of...
Any carcasses in here? Hopefully not.
I don't know. Do you want me to get you a bin bag?
We might just need to get rid of all of this.
Yeah. Cool. This looks alright though, doesn't it?
Yeah, again I think that will
clean up okay.
Clean up and brighten, refinish maybe. I think it was well looked after really.
Yeah, I think it was well looked after until he decided to not use it anymore. So after 18 years of being sat, am I going to shear this bolt for the flexi or not? Oh God, it's cracked off.
No way.
It has. I can't believe that.
Well, I guess you got to. You're looking at it.
I suppose so. Can even just about undo it by hand. That is in remarkable condition.
What's that?
The end of the hard line. Let's try and undo this flexi. And there is the old flexi. I know what you're thinking. Didn't need to take it off the car while it was still on. But just thought I'd take it off anyway. It actually looks in quite nice condition, that. And even the bolt's still nice. Just going to let that fluid drain out of that caliper now. See, this should actually be fairly, yeah, this is fairly loose because we took it off on collection day.
Yeah.
And bolt. It's almost time to extract the caliper. There it goes.
You do have to take that off, don't you? Yes.
There you go, one caliper, PBR, made in Australia. Interesting. That's that one. So now I've just got to get the disc off. There you go. One disc off. And I think that'll actually clean up quite well. The bearing feels alright. So I'll give this a clean now. Feels.
I don't like that bottom bolt at all.
Do you want me to help you?
Have a look.
You clean that then for a bit.
I don't like that bottom bolt.
Chris doesn't like that bottom bolt at all. So
No, I think it's an Imperial.
do you reckon?
It doesn't feel right.
Oh, I'll have a look at it.
So it could be metric. That looks so.
You've not taken the flexi off now?
No, I've not taken flexi.
I'm wrestling with this. Ended up snapping the hard line, it was unavoidable. So what I'm going to do is cut the flexi, just here somewhere, take this bracket off, and then sort it out on the bench. So I don't want to damage this bracket. Bracket's in nice condition, so I want to try and keep that as nice as I can if possible. Let's just see how Chris is getting on. Oh, look at that.
Looking pretty clean.
That is looking clean, isn't it? Do you say you need some more water?
Yeah, the water's not doing its the best anymore. I think it's time for some new.
Box, I knew that would end up in there. I knew it would.
What is it?
It's the socket. I just knew that it'd end up in that bucket. 1 bolt, 2 bolts. Bolts look in nice condition.
Is the disc off?
Here's what?
Is the disc off?
The disc?
Yeah.
Not yet, the caliper's not off yet. Caliper's off now. Disc is off. That's that one loose. It's done it. The old spline's done it, baby.
Nice one.
That is
done it.
the rear caliper removed.
Again, it doesn't look in bad order, does it?
Doesn't look bad. There's actually still quite a bit of meat on the pads, but
I'll
they're
put them back in then.
non-serviceable, obviously. So that's the discs and calipers off front and rear on the passenger side. Giving this a bit of a clean. We've not finished cleaning it yet. We're going to do a better job of that. And I'll just put this on the bench with the other one.
Oh yeah, beastly.
They look alright, don't they? That's lovely.
What's that?
Might pump as much of that in as I can.
I'll enjoy a bit of that, won't it?
You'll love it, won't it? Look at that. Lovely.
Nice action.
So that's the handbrake mechanism. Obviously that's in need of a little bit of a clean, so I can sort that out. But the rest of it all looks all right. Lovely. So handbrake spring off, flexi off. I'm just going to probably leave that intact on the car. 2 19mm bolts down there, and yeah, the whole thing should come out nicely. And then disc off, of course, which is actually quite rusty, but I think it will clean up. Rear caliper now ready to come off. I'm just going to cut that flexi because there's actually no need for it to be salvaged or anything. It's going to save me a bit of time. There we go. And that will drop down. Then I've just got to take this handbrake mechanism off. So yeah, that's definitely in need of a refurb, isn't it? Now I've taken the other side off, I feel like I've got a better handle on how it all comes apart, so I think this time I'm doing it a little bit more efficiently. So I'm going to prise these little barbs out there and slide the handbrake cable back. Then all this will be free and we can get it sorted. And that's now free, so this should, with a bit of a wiggle, come off. There we go, that's free now. And that is the last caliper off the car. And this disc is actually loose. So there's that off. And a quick look in the wheel arch. Quick visual inspection. So the anti-roll bar link is absolutely had it. No signs of major corrosion or anything, which is good. But the brake lines are not brilliant. There's already a leak, so that's a leak from where we press the pedal, so not sure where that's coming from. I believe that that's the splitter. If someone knows, tell me in the comments. But I think that's the splitter that takes in the line from the ABS module and then splits it out to the two rears. So whether or not that can be cleaned up and saved, I don't really know. We'll have to have a look. It looks like there's a 10mm bolt there that holds it in position. But yeah, it's all looking workable. There's just rather a lot of work to do, but we'll get there. Stay tuned. I realised that footage that we've just filmed where we're messing around on the bench with these brake components wasn't very clear. So I've decided to sort of do a recap and show you where we are with it. So these two are intact. These are the ones that I took off from the passenger side. Haven't done anything with them apart from remove them. Both definitely want full refurbishment. They're both in an absolute state. Yesterday night when I was messing around with Chris, we were working on these two. So this one is the rear caliper. This one's the front. We did actually strip this down and I gave it a bit of a clean up. The weather wasn't very good, so that was sort of putting me off a little bit. And I removed all of this piston assembly, changed all the internal seals and greased it. To be fair to it, I think that it's functional. So I don't think there's actually anything wrong with that caliper now. I think we could reinstall it. This one on the other hand, the piston's stuck in it and the whole thing's just a bit of a mess. So I don't want to put scruffy parts on the car, you know. I want to replace things as we go and make it look nice again, even though that's functional. Being honest with myself, I'm not happy about refitting it. So there's two ways to go now. I need to have a chat with Chris and make some decisions. But I'm thinking that we probably buy new calipers basically. I think if we get new ones, we can send these off for refurbishment and maybe do something funky with them, like get them painted or media blasted so they're all fresh again. But yeah, not particularly happy with any of the brakes. That's to be expected really. And obviously we know that the lines are rusty in the car, so they've also got to be replaced. So the brakes are going to take a bit of a while to sort. What I am going to do is get these rotors refinished, because I think the rotors are probably the most salvageable part of the brakes. I think with a clean up on a lathe, they're going to come up really nice. So I'm going to try and do that and get these fitted back on, and then at least we can properly fit the wheels while we're getting the calipers sorted. And while that's happening in the background, we will crack on and find some other jobs to do. There's plenty to get on with, so if you've got any ideas, let us know. I'm thinking I might strip the seats out and wet vac the carpets, something like that, just while we're waiting on parts and so on. So actually it's all completely jacked up now as well, so I've got better access to the underneath of it. So in the next episode I might get under there with a torch and a camera and have a bit better look at the underneath of it. Anyway, as always guys, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support. Leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure that you smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss any updates, and we'll catch you for the next one. Cheers.